All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Readers. I feel like I finally have some educated things to say about SoFi, and I'm going to make this one the front one here. But we're seeing the first real struggle on SoFi since we broke all five and flew, right? I mean, it's just been running and running and running, and not even a hesitation on that resistance. All of a sudden, we're seeing a very difficult time with this 1660 line. All right. I think more than anything, because again, I always say these computer generated lines are better than my simple little human clicks, right? But I'm very much watching this 820 movement right now as well. There's definitely a death cross right there, but I think it's just a little too horizontal to really look at that too much. All right, I'll talk about that a little more shortly, obviously. But yeah, this is probably the first real interesting thing going on in SoFi. I'll talk about the indices shortly. All right. I feel like it's been a while since I've talked about SoundHound, and I mean, there's actually not too much to talk about here, right? What has it been doing? It has been riding the 8 moving average like a champion. And I think I want the one thing that I hope you take away, even from just this opening thought, I'll give you more details, all right? I personally think it gets a lot better after breaking the golden line right here. As I'm saying that and looking at it, it really starts to do very well with it right here. And I don't know if I'm going to take that comment back right now, right? But yeah, you break a golden line, and you hear me say it all the time, right? Especially when that golden line also basically is all-time highs. Clearly all-time highs was there, but I'll talk about why that one was my golden line. But once you break the golden line, you're going to get 20% after 20% after 20% after 20%, and it's just going to keep on going and going and going until for whatever reason it doesn't, right? Generally, again, index focused, right? So beautiful technical things happening here. I think the one interesting thing with SoundHound and with SoFi, I'm kind of starting to see the RSI change a little bit. This MACD, I think, looks a little bit worse when you look at SoFi and you look at SoundHound. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're the inverse of each other, right? But yeah, I think it's interesting to see the red over green on both the RSIs. That's just, again, I do these things live and unscripted, right? That's kind of the one thing I'm seeing as I look at that one. The last two I want to put on this one, I covered them not that long ago, is going to be BBAI and RR. Okay, I think both of them had very interesting days today. RR especially, I mean, when you get a textbook doji like that, my interest is always right there, right? Big volume day today too. Obviously, yes, less than yesterday, excuse me, but not bad when you're looking at the overall increase right there, and really pretty stable over the last few kind of big candles too, right? So interesting volume when I look at RR. And hey, BBAI, you hear me say it all the time. I really want to hold 50% of that yesterday candle. I think we pretty much did that on the penny, right? If I was going to click 50%, I would say right there, right? So under that line, this was a big line on my last video. Even with RR, this was a big line. And hey, we got one candle, but no confirmation, right? With BBAI, we got a maybe decent kind of maybe one candle, definitely no confirmation, right? So I think they both still have that same thing going on, all right? The last thing before we close out the opening thoughts. All right, NASDAQ. When I look at NASDAQ for the first time, and I don't want to say first time because this is obviously a moment, and I'll talk about this one shortly, right? But this is kind of the first no forced reaction scary candle, okay? This was FOMC, right? This was Jerome Powell getting on the microphone, getting on the stand, and basically saying not as many cuts. I'm a little worried inflation's going to go up 20%. That's Spark Notes what he just said. I think saying Spark Notes just dated me. I'm not sure if the youngins know what Spark Notes was. Pink Monkey for my other ones out there. Who remembers those? So this was a forced reaction. Okay, I think the forced reaction did its best to stabilize. You heard me talk about confirmation a bunch, and I'll talk about it a little bit more in detail shortly, right? But that's the first actual loss of the 8 and the 20. Obviously, it's a single candle, and I need more, right? But on this entire movement up, especially since we've broken the golden line, right? That one you can kind of say wasn't the break that got us over, that came down and then we broke, right? But this is kind of the first one under that orange line. Okay. The other thing that just bothers me, and I talk about it, right? The distance between the lines matters, right? I get excited when it's down here and I'm trying to go all the way up. You know, I'm going to get worried when we're up here and potentially going to lose the 8 and the 20 and come down, right? The other thing that worries me, S&P 500 is already at the 50. Right? It's already gone under, try to recover, and basically back there, right? So I talk about sector strength. The indices tend to follow, and this is already down here on the S&P 500. Even worse is the Dow Jones. Dow Jones came all the way down here, try to recover, seemingly is going to come back under, right? So look, there's a lot going on right now. I definitely, and I mean, it's not just me. You can see it, right? We're still a couple lines above the other one. NASDAQ is the strongest of the three right now. That's at least keeping my focus very much on tech stocks right now. That's why I still think these are a pretty good blend, right? But yeah, I think we're starting to see a little bit of the effects on these three stocks, right? NASDAQ's still trying to do its best to hold. It's getting on the border, and that's really the exact same thing I see with SoFi. A lot better than that on SoundHound, which is an interesting thing to see, right? And I think following on SoundHound, it's a little bit better right here on BBAI, but definitely a little bit of a risk right there. And then again, RR, actually a little bit better than SoFi as well, but definitely a risk right there. End of the day, I think, I don't want to say that last thing because I think that would have been a stretch, but that's a good opening thought right there. Before we go any further though, and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Hey, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. I can tell people are doing a bunch, and I'm so grateful for it. For real, thank you. But hey, just being here, giving me your time. Oh, I mean, thank you so much one more time. All right, so look, let's get into SoFi. And again, I've been in a lot of ways joking as I've made the last SoFi videos because there weren't a lot of educated things I could say during this uptrend, right? There was a lot I was saying in the beginning of the year as we were battling under the lines. There was a lot I said in July. If you go back to the videos, I haven't mentioned that in a good while, right? Once we broke, I'm telling you, right? You break all 5, you fly. You lose all 5 and you die. And hey, all of a sudden, we went from, it's too far back. Whatever, you get the point, right? Once we broke it, all we were doing was riding the 8 moving average. Right? We never even had any real moments of testing the 20 moving average, right? I mean, I felt like cover SoFi for 3 minutes, laugh about how bullishly strong it was, and then move on to the next one, right? And that's a beautiful thing, right? That's what you want your money in, right? That's not what I think brings views to YouTube, and that's really ultimately what I'm here for on these videos, right? But this is the first real what's going on moment. All right, so I'm zooming out just a little bit. That's actually a lot of it. So that's an interesting 1660 line. And I really want to go back and see what's actually going on that line right there. Give me a sec. And then let's zoom in this way. Let's get rid of all that nothingness right there. Okay, so interesting. I'm surprised. I think that would have been a little closer to 50% of this candle. But hey, it is the bottom of that. It's the top of that. It's the bottom of that. It's basically the top of that. Basically the top of that. Top of that. Top of that. There's a lot going on this 1660 in that first real trading year. right? This thing basically starts end of 2020, and you go from end of 2020 to end of 2021. And I mean, that's an important line, I would say, that first year, right? From there, let's just zoom out. Let's just zoom out. Do you see all that nothingness all the way until this year, right? Right? Look at that thing. Ever since we lost it right here, that same 1660 line, right? Ever since we lost it in that late first year, end of December 2021, we never even come close to it. All of 2022, that line was a distant memory. Most of 2023, that was an ambitious goal, and clearly it never gets there, right? We already saw that result. We're now in 2024, still in no woman's land for the girls watching this thing, right? All of a sudden, for the first time, we're actually starting to hit this thing. That's a big line right there. And there's been a bunch of stuff. BBAI and RR. I don't know if you're going to watch that later on or if you're going to fast forward. Look at this 430 line. It's been, and I talked about this. This was a little bit of a pump and dump right there to me. This doesn't count that much. It basically was since 2022 that we haven't been over that line well. We tried really hard, but that doesn't count in my book, right? I'm here for more than just a little bit, right? We definitely tried right there, not as good as that. We're back under. We're now trying again, and you can see that's at least a nice 2 attempts in a smaller window, right? When we look at RR, that same 208 line. Listen, I realize RR is at 290. We have not broken 208. That 208 is the same. And again, now I'm getting into those technicals right there. The point of me doing that was there are a lot of stocks coming up to these resistances that are several years old. All right. What should be a normal line to break, that adds a little something right there. You know what I mean? So just FYI, that was the point of all that. You also got a sneak peek of what I'm going to say in a couple minutes right there. So what am I looking for on SoFi? Look, I'm a little annoyed with these lower indicators right here. Normally, I would say, hey, RSI was really high. Look at that thing. It was at 88. It was at 84. It was just living up here in the 80s, all that, right? We're now down to a healthy 50. We should start getting ready to turn up soon, right? Normally, that's what I would say. I don't like this RSI. I don't like this MACD right here. Red has been over green for a while, and we're getting a lot closer to that 0 line than I really would like to be. More annoying than the MACD is definitely this volume. All right. And more than, and I don't like it when we're under the 50-day line. We've been really under the 50-day line the last few trading days. And obviously it's been a short holiday week. Next week is a short holiday week again, right? Like I get it. And hey, end of the day, these don't look good, but price has at least stayed flat, which isn't a bad thing, right? So maybe I'm focusing a little too much down here instead of up here, but I think the biggest next step is a combination of the S&P 500 and the Dow and the NASDAQ. All right. Again, we tried really hard to recover the 20 moving average. We definitely couldn't do it on the S&P 500. We have to get back at 6,030. That's the bare bone minimum. And if the S&P can recover, that should also mean that the NASDAQ will recover. If NASDAQ can get back up to 20, look, I've really been talking about 2040. That's a little bit of a stretch right now. I think it might still be this last, no, we were looking at game on the, I think I remember the number 7, something like that. Nope, 760. Damn, that's how ridiculous. I love this place too much. All right, this is what I was looking for on the close today. You can see we're actually pretty much the same screenshot that I sent, but roughly an hour from the close of the day, my goal was just get me back over that 8 and the 20 point. We really didn't do it. I think that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for Monday. Get me at 19,800-ish, and I think that'll make me comfortable with NASDAQ. If those two things can happen, SoFi will head back up towards this. The money line for SoFi specifically is going to be 1630. I think if you can get over 1630, all of a sudden I'll start to believe 1660. Truth be told, that is the line we're trying to break right now. If we break that line, do I have a line above us? I don't, but we'll draw it off the weekly for now. I think it's that. What does this look like? I think it's that. Green, 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 red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 green, 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 red, red, red. That's the line. All right. Again, I have another one right here. I would focus on the 1660 and the 19. I think those are the more important next two lines up. And then I have to say, if we, that's the line. Where are you? That's the line. Okay, if SoFi loses 1550, I think I would be real scared that we not only come as low as that, I think coming down to 1550 might mean we've lost the 8 and the 20 and we might be coming down into the 50. I don't think it'll come that low, but I can see 1440 being a realistic low. Because again, I don't know the math behind these lines, but I think the 50 moving average is still coming up, and it looks like it'll get close to that 1440 line eventually on its own, like maybe by middle of the week, if not end of the week with the holiday, right? So I never like year end. We actually talked about it on the Discord. I think that's the last thing. $100. We talked about this. Look, this is like, I do believe this. I didn't make it up, okay? I think I started with someone smarter than me said this. Towards year end, funds stop their plan. They lock in the year, they start their accounting stuff, and they're ready for next year, all right? And someone asked what that meant, right? Like, if I'm there are funds that say, give me your monthly, I made up the $100, and I'll give you 4% every year, regardless of what happens up and down, right? By today, they know if they're going to hit that, beat that, or miss that, right? And at this point, you kind of end the year and you start to either do the same thing or do better next year, right? So trading kind of slows down near year end. I think we're seeing that with the volume as well, right? So hopefully we don't go any lower than around here. Hopefully the lowest this actually does go is 1510, basically 15.5, right? I just don't know if this is strong enough because I'm looking at, there's too much green, 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 nothing, nothing, nothing. That could be a really rough red, 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 red down, right? So we want these to hold. We want the indices to hold. Damn, I talked 17 minutes about SoFi. Hey, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh my goodness, I'm supposed to talk about SoundHound next? Okay, there's actually not too much to talk about right here. I cracked my knuckles. I'm so sorry. I apologize for doing that. I know a lot of people hate that thing. This, I feel like, is what I used to do with SoFi after covering SoundHound in a lot of details. There is not a lot of educated things I can tell you right now on SoFi. On SoundHound. At this point, SoundHound is more than anything showing you why I love technical analysis, why I love these moving averages, and why even after I'm done drawing the lines, it'll just keep doing the job and let the lines tell you the story, right? So my goodness, little golf clap right here for SoundHound, right? So hey, real quick, if you can subscribe, if you can share, it does wonders, all right? So what are we looking at? We're looking at almost every single thing that I talk about on every single ticker that I talk about, right? Once you break all 5 moving averages, you will fly, fly, fly. And that is by far what this thing has done, more than 4x, knocking on the door of 5x from that roughly $5 number, right? More than anything, it's riding the 8 and the 20, and what went from needing the help of the 8 of the 2, blah, blah, blah. My word, when I get too excited, all the words just lump together. What went from needing the 8 and the 20, right? You can see we're down to the orange, down to the orange, down to the orange, down to the orange. all of a sudden the 8 gets stronger and stronger, the 8 gets further and further away, and beautiful things happen. And the strength of that line, oh my, right? So that's all we're doing. We're going away from it, coming down to it, going away from it, coming down to it, going away from it, coming down to it. One thing I talked about, if you remembered on this climb, I said, look, what we're doing, and I was comparing it to SoFi too. We were going up from the 8 and down, up from the 8 and down, up from the 8 and almost horizontal, up from the 8 and a little bit more down than horizontal, but even arguably horizontal, right? SoFi was prettier. SoFi would go up, horizontal, up, horizontal, up, horizontal, up. Now we've stayed horizontal, right? So again, that's what I'm starting to see a little bit more of. It's actually just like it's cleaner. There's less of a scary fall. Hey, not a lot of people use the moving averages, right? These falls are what used to scare me and make me get out of good profits, right? You use the lines well, and you know I'm not here to say buy, sell, hold, right? If you are hard-earned money, you're doing the job. I'm just giving you thoughts, right? But that's how you average up, right? That's how you accidentally sell too early, say, oh my, and jump back in because the lines are saying, you know what I mean? So SoundHound is beautiful. And then just add the fact that MACD's been positive, green over red the entire time, diverging, right? We're starting to get into that uglier RSI than I was hoping for. But hey, I would say MACD is nicer here. Volume's a little bit nicer here, right? Same index thoughts, right? Same index thoughts. NASDAQ's a little worrisome. NASDAQ's making me wonder if we're going to lose these and come down here. S&P 500 is already basically down here. I need the S&P 500 to regain the 20 moving average. I need the NASDAQ to get right back over that 8 moving average. Give me around right there, right? 19,800, give or take. That's the big number to help this thing go. Look, sometimes a stock is so strong, it'll do better than the index. It's for sure a real thing, right? That's an outlier in my book. And at some point, the indexes are going to pull the stocks, okay? SoFi's been doing well. I keep calling this thing SoFi. That's how strong this thing is, right? SoundHound, my goodness. I would not want to lose 21. Okay, that's 21 is actually where the 8 moving average is if you're looking at the box right there. My concern is that the 20 moving average is all the way down there. Realistically, that's kind of the next best line, 1717. Maybe right there around 1975, 1980. Maybe that's another decent line, but 8 to the 20s, at least a realistic thing with that green, red to right there, right? So hopefully this never goes below 21. Hopefully what we're going to do is just kind of stay horizontal until the 8 moving average catches up and then use it again to keep going up, right? We'll give the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 a couple days to figure it out. We'll stay horizontal till the math does the math thing and brings the lines up. And then lo and behold, we'll do the thing, right? So beautifulness, right? And again, we are in all-time highs. There are no educated lines I can draw up, right? 93 is a little bit worrisome on the RSI on the weekly, but I mean, if you've been watching my quant videos, there's been a bunch that are running in the higher 90s, right? So for now, I'm liking the indicators up here. I would love a little bit of a recovery on the RSI, but for now, that's just one indicator of many, all right? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you so much. I apologize for running this one so far down. I did not expect to be here by 23 minutes, all right? BBAI and RR. I think I have the exact same thoughts on both of them. That's why I'm going to chapter them. And really, I just covered these not that long ago. So I think the last video thoughts are still pretty fresh too, all right? Real quick, if you can share this video, if you can subscribe to the YouTube videos and the channels and stuff, it does wonders with the algorithms. Okay, what's the big story with both of them? It's a resistance line. And look, BBAI is a lot closer to the line and under. RR is actually what I would say it's significantly over the line. It is that 208. Both of them have not broken the line. I know that's really high up. Believe me, I know. We haven't broken that line just yet. And again, I'm zooming out. Look at this line. we've been well under it for most of the year. Okay. And realistically, there wasn't much more history behind it, right? So that's that like we've is that's not an easy line right there. And one good candle is never enough. I would say this is a little bit of an optimistic doji, all right? I think the one real truth is I always say the doji is a 50-50 candle. There was so much uncertainty. Some people thought it was going to fly, some people thought it wouldn't. They just said let's wait till Monday, you know? I think the one positive thing is even the lowest point of the day never really came the 50% candle. That is a good thing for sure, but yeah, oh, that's so 50-50. I like the MACD. I do. I like the volume. I do. Hey, RSI is at least green over red. 88's a little high, you know that. But again, we are over all the moving averages. We did golden cross the 20 and the 200. It looks like we're going to golden cross the 50 on the 100 probably by Monday, right? Maybe by Tuesday, give or take. So, oh, my kitty's at the door. Hey, what are you doing? Come on in. You want to come on in? Meow. All right. So yeah, look, I would say this. As long as we're over 240, I think RR is still bullish. Okay. I don't know. I think it's going to take a couple days for the 8 moving average to get there, right? So I don't want it to go up from the 8 and down to the 8. But hey, I think as long as we can hold 240, that should be a good thing. If we lose 240, I think that 208 line is going to be where we come back to. With BBAI, look, we tried, but we definitely couldn't confirm. And hey, I would say that yesterday's candle obviously wasn't as pretty as that RR candle, right? But today was an interesting one because we went from almost losing it all to definitely, like I'm going to zoom in too, we definitely held 50% candle, right? So I think comparatively, yesterday to today, the candle isn't that bad. Obviously, I'm still looking at that $4.32 line, right? As I zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, I started the video with it. We have not been over this line very well. I mean, really since here, right? Since the middle of 2022, we're knocking on the door of the start of 2025, right? So it's been a while. It's been a long, long while. But if BBAI can get over 430, red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 green, green, red, red, and then years of nothing can make it a pretty fast ride up to that 7 right there, all right? So watch that line, set some high expectations. There's probably a line to be drawn right there around 510, because there's like a decent horizontal right there. There's a peak right there, maybe 515, maybe 550. I'll draw that 550. Kind of the top of that line and the top of that 550. I'll draw that. There's a lot of lines down here that I want to delete. We don't need that. I'm going to do that. I'll do that after the video. You don't need to watch me do that. I think those are my thoughts there. Look, ultimately, it's about volume and it's about breaking these respectful resistance lines significantly. And I think RR is a real good example of my expectations for significantly. This is almost 50% higher than the line, right? And for me to say we haven't broken it, kind of like, it sounds silly. I hear the words, right? But one good candle over the line is not enough. That doesn't count as my second confirmation one, right? So if RR can get over 208, my next line is for something, right? So arguably, I can maybe even raise that line all the way right there to 490. I think for now, we'll leave it down there. I think as I'm saying those words, the real line is right there, actually, 477. That's not bad, right? So at the moment, I'm telling you, I don't know. It is 50-50 in my book if this thing's going to go up or if it's going to come back down to 240. All right. Again, still bullish over 240, but that's what the doji does to me. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of a bullish one, but yeah, it's still just 250-50 for me. I would rather see what it does, play the reaction, ride the wave up, or avoid the avalanche down. All right. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you so much.